not a nerd.
Nerds.
Nerds.
Nerds!
I'm not kissing a nerd.
What is a nerd?
Absolutely
crap, are we
of the
nerdy?
film industry.
That would actually be interesting if
Market experts
wherever they print all the comics in China just exploded.
That's where all the ink chemicals were being processed.
We can't. There's gonna be no comics for like
There's no
6
comics.
months.
Because the staples that were being processed exploded.
Welcome, Nerdables, to episode 99. We've almost hit the 100 mark. This week, we are joined by Sebastian, Chris, Ethan, Shauna, and back from the dead, so to speak.
We'll fear the dead.
Fear the Dead? Fear the Walking Dead?
You missed that episode.
We have
I missed it so
Travis
hard.
with us. Welcome back, Travis.
Oh, thank
Actually,
you.
in person and not on Skype or
I'm not
via
on,
Nerdables
Nerdables
1.
1.
He's real, guys.
He is.
I exist in real time.
You can poke him.
No, you
I was
can't.
gonna say, has Sebastian and Shauna actually met Travis before
No.
today?
This is the
No,
first
no.
time.
He's shopped at the store and his face is familiar. So
That's about as far as
yeah,
I
yeah.
get.
Travis, Sebastian, Travis, Shauna, Travis.
Like, I've heard about him in the legends and everything, and I knew he was kind of
Mythical
existent,
legends.
I guess.
The legend.
The
The folklore of Travis Jones.
Shauna's thinking of somebody else. There's no legend there.
It's absolutely zero legend involved with me.
It's always fun because when you're here and Ethan's here, usually one of us dies in the middle. One of us says something that the other one just dies.
Oh,
right in
yeah.
the
We just
middle.
lose it.
It's amazing.
Oh,
We-
yeah. It'll happen.
So, Sebastian, you know how we've been talking about doing video stuff and everything
Yes.
like that? One of the things we came up with a long time ago when they first announced the Batman vs. Superman, The Dawn of Justice jam, when they first announced the title, was it Ethan who came up with it? It was It was Dawn of Justice, the Grime Fighters.
No, we said because we were making fun of the title,
Right.
And you said, "What is it, like a cleaning solution or something?" It immediately Ethan says, "Dawn of Justice, Grime Fighters,"
So-
and I
Chris lost
consciousness.
Proceeded
Just
to
right
exit
onto the
for an
table.
hour or two.
And then for like almost the remaining of the show, we plotted out this whole movie with Dawn bottles. You know, the cleaning.
We're gonna
fluid.
do
Batman
Showing
versus
up.
Superman with
Yeah.
Dawn bottles.
Are there like the little those like 409 scrubbing
Yeah, the
bubble
scrubbing
things?
bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came through.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Mr.
we've talked
wiped
about
out
filming
New York.
this, that we really need to do this.
Mr. Clean was Lex Luthor.
So just
Obviously.
so it's just like this little stop motion thing going on with the little bottles and everything.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah, because
Probably
you
be
know
a hell
they
of a
sell
lot
like the
easier
little
than the
tiny
desert
Dawn
strip
bottle.
club.
The
we're trying to
Justice
do.
League satellite is like the giant Tide logo floating in space.
Nice.
You did the Legion of Doom. You know, it's in the sink, a dirty clogged up sink.
In
No.
the great halls of the Justice League,
Yeah.
the scrubbing bubbles calculate the next move of Mr. Clean.
Meanwhile,
That's
at the
not
Temple of
bad.
That's not bad, I know.
That's not bad. I'm impressed.
So you guys kept asking me, what are we going to be talking about tonight?
That's all we're talking
No,
about.
so
That's
this-
it. That's the Donna. Yeah.
That's
Donna
it. So
The Dawn
Thank you
of
for listening to
Justice.
Dawn of
Nerdables.
Grime.
We'll see you next week.
So I wanted to kind of do a little bit of a retrospect. I didn't want to do a clip show for the 99th, leading into the 100th. But I did want to cover, even though there's not a lot of news going on right now, there are some things that people have been talking about.
China,
China blew
China
up.
imploding and then blowing up and then imploding.
North Korea.
Yeah.
I was talking about
North
North
Korea,
Korea,
was
yeah.
totally like, we're gonna kill everybody.
I was talking about in the nerd world, but
North
Well,
Koreans
there's
are
nerds in
nerds,
North
dude.
Seth Rogen.
Hey, we gotta
almost
protect.
started
Look,
World
South
War
Korea
III.
makes cell phones and televisions.
South Korea makes all of the animation now. Cell phones.
look,
yeah.
China makes where all the toys are made.
all the Xboxes and PlayStations.
So
This
We
is
just
important
lost
news.
All our iPhones.
yes, but it's not as important news as the Suicide Squad tattooing each other with squad that was completely misspelled.
Okay, so that's the end of the news because that's it. You've just
Yeah.
that's the headline and the lead. There's nothing else to
blew
say.
the
So next
entire
week
thing.
for the 100th episode, we're all getting Nerdables tattoos
that are spelled Redibles.
Yes,
We're gonna add an extra W in there just because.
Redibles.
just put a W. in for no reason.
Noedables.
We change the I to an A.
So we're all getting tramp
So
stamps,
nerd
right?
ables.
Nerdeble.
Yeah,
no, it's
we're-
nerd ables.
Nerdables. Or you could go like Les Miserables. Nerdeble.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
question? Would anyone really want Will Smith tattooing them?
No,
No, not really.
no.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Woo!
Woo!
I'm putting a tattoo on you. Oh yeah.
Punch the
Ooh,
hurricane.
My
Wait,
son is
wait.
talented.
Hold on. When did Will Smith become Ric Flair?
When Jay Farrow started doing him on SNL.
Oh, that's a good point. Touche.
Speaking of wrestling, the Arrow.
How about SummerSlam, huh?
Yeah.
Woo! John Stewart
Hey.
really knocked the hell out of John Cena.
John on John crime.
I didn't know about that part. All I know is that Stephen Amell.
John Stewart hosted
who-
it.
John Stewart.
Yeah, I saw
John
this.
Stewart. John
SummerSlam.
Stewart, one of what everyone says is one of the most brilliant people in America, is obsessed with wrestling.
Yes,
And
I
why
know.
wouldn't you be?
Absolutely
Look at it.
obsessed.
Hey, you know what? Donald Trump's a WWE Hall of Famer, so you know.
Yeah, but it's
So
funny
upsetting.
because SummerSlam, ESPN finally sent a reporter.
Yeah, they sent Coachman, who
Who's-
used to be on WWE.
Yeah, they sent him as a reporter, and now he's lobbying to go to.
He wants to go to the
WrestleMania,
WrestleMania
whatever,
as
yeah.
like a bit. He wants to be involved again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does he,
He
want
wants
it?
to go full circle.
Oh, look, Stephen Amell just put a live
Just texted
a
you?
live now up that says
Did
thank
he
you.
just text you?
Yeah. See, look.
Thanks for mentioning me, Stephen Amell.
It says thank
says
you.
to Rich. Thank you.
Thank you.
He-
Fuck you. for
Somehow, I
something.
He
guess
walked
he's
into our
bugged my
store
out.
once, and nobody told me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so when he left, and one of our associates was like, "Oh yeah, Stephen Amell was here." I was like, "Wait, what? What?" He's like, "Yeah, he was here. He was." Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't?
You tackle
So-
him, chloroform him?
And I was like,
bring
"Why?
him to the
Why?
back
Why
room?
isn't he here now?"
Why can't I hug
So he
you?
built
Why
a
get-
big sign, and it said, "Dear Mr. Arrow, please come back." And we put it on the door for like a week.
So he comes down to the ring and he's kind of got on the Arrow attire, you know, the hoodie.
Kind of. He has the Arrow attire on.
It's the vest and the hood.
Yeah. So and then he does a
then
flying
nothing else
body
on the
press
bottom.
off of the ropes into the onto.
I think a lot of people.
I
would
forget
be
who
okay
was
with
even
it.
wrestling. It was Stardust and Wade Barrett.
Yeah. Wait,
Oh, is that why I've been seeing the Meller Dust thing?
Yeah.
Huh.
And they did the
When he
whole
was on
they did
Raw
the
or
whole thing.
whatever,
It was
they-
supposed to look like
Or
a
like that's who I'm taking on or whatever it was.
Gotcha.
They did the whole lead up to it like a comic book. It was the three color the original 3-colored dots that you'd always have with a comic book, and
Okay.
it's supposed to look like it, and I guess the
But
Stardust
doesn't.
character. This is the most we've talked about wrestling in a long time.
No, we went on about
We talked about Roddy Piper.
yeah, we
Roddy
talked about Roddy
Piper.
Piper for like 20
And-
minutes.
Oh yeah, Ethan got emotional over that when Roddy died.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That was
we
sad.
met
That
him,
was really
so, yeah.
sad.
it
No,
was. And then we went right into Ronda
I got
Rousey.
emotional when we talked about Robin Williams. So
Yes, that is
Yeah.
true.
there's people that we're not close to them, but they're people that mean something to.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's celebrity deaths.
Steve, hey, Sebastian's just kind of looking like.
Sebastian doesn't care about any.
I'm not out of
Sebastian's
this.
like,
I'm
"To
out
hell
of this
with
part.
them."
You watch Arrow though, right?
No,
No, really?
Oh, what?
I don't.
How
'Cause
come?
Have you ever watched
he doesn't have a goatee on, so I don't care.
it? Wow.
That's the only criteria I care about.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know he's getting the goatee.
Oh, they call me when he gets a goatee. Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Actually, aren't they supposed to this fall be going to the classic Arrow?
It's
No.
He becomes
stop,
Green Arrow.
stop right there. Dead serious.
Yeah.
That's the best
Doesn't
part.
have
Just
a
like
goatee, screw
doesn't have a
you.
goatee.
I don't give a crap.
I turned on the first episode. Man is missing his facial hair. I'm not interested in watching it
out.
anymore.
5 o'clock shadow. Fuck you.
I can't figure out why Sebastian doesn't work for TV Guide. That'd be great. What's the review on
He'd
Arrow?
kill
Didn't
it.
watch it. Doesn't have facial
Doesn't
hair.
have facial
The
hair.
end.
He's not manly enough. No goatee.
Man
Nothing.
impersonating Green Arrow with
And
no
he wasn't
facial
called.
hair.
He wasn't called Green Arrow,
He's not
right?
Green Arrow either.
He's just
So
the
until they start
Arrow.
calling him Green Arrow too.
So, and what did Starling City just kind of like blow your mind?
That was also really weird.
So-
Well, also that had to do with Smallville because they actually used the proper name in Smallville, and then they didn't want to have to pay those writers to use it. So
So this is going to be the season that Sebastian starts watching Arrow because he comes back
He's
as
gonna
Green
finally be
Arrow.
as Green Arrow.
Star City is what's going to be adopted, and the goatee is going to be
yeah,
there.
that's fine by me.
Speaking in CW
Whatever.
shows,
Well,
Hawkman.
we're on fire. A wrestling match that none of us actually paid to watch, and Sebastian, who doesn't watch Arrow at all.
Hey, no, I watched it last night after you guys left when I was editing the Walking Dead episode, the show we started doing last night.
SummerSlam?
I watched. Well, my brother has the subscription, so
Of course he does.
he gave me his login, so I was on Apple TV watching it,
Yeah.
and I just like fast forward until I got to the Stephen Amell thing, and
You just got your brother arrested for pirating.
no,
Apple
they don't
TV.
care. It's like HBO Go.
Yeah,
they
no,
don't care if you give
I
it out.
think they probably
Now
care.
you're gonna get
Oh,
that
they
one
care.
phone call tonight for him. I got locked
Vince
up.
McMahon's
He's
gonna call me.
He's gonna knock on the door.
Yeah.
Vince
Goons.
Monsters
You're
here.
hired, goons.
brother, you're
But
gonna
that
get
was
killed.
that was after we watched Pokemon get rabies. So.
Yes, we did.
I'm sorry.
What
What?
the heck?
Have you ever seen Pikachu rabies from Fox ADHD?
Wait, what the heck?
It's dark, really, really
I'm
dark.
just gonna pass on that one.
It's.
Have you watched any
And
of the
then-
animation domination stuff?
Yeah, a little bit here or there.
You watch Future Batman?
Yes, I have.
Future Batman's great,
Yeah.
and I can't believe it.
But they have the scientifically accurate ones. Scientifically accurate Sonic the Hedgehog is fantastic. And then lyrics to
Teenage
songs
Mutant
you-
Ninja Turtles
There was-
scientifically
yeah,
accurate.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's lyrics to songs you didn't know have lyrics. They have the X-Men from the '92 TV series. These are the X-Men. They stand in for homosexuals. It's just an allegory. It's just like so. It's fantastic.
It's kind of a take on the G.I. Joe, the public service announcements that they did, and they changed them all up.
I
Which
understand.
I just even realized as I was saying this, you have on a T-shirt from it.
Yep.
Um.
I'm a computer.
So
Hey kid. I'm a
CW
computer.
shows. They've also announced that Hawkman will be a series regular on the
Help computer.
tomorrow.
Is it Michael?
Legends of,
Is it
Legends
Michael
of
Shanks?
Tomorrow.
no,
Then I don't
Legends
care.
of Tomorrow. Yeah,
It's Legends of Tomorrow.
yeah.
It's not Michael Shanks. I don't
This is
care.
going to be a great episode. Hey Sebastian, did you
Is
see
it
this
this?
happen?
I don't care.
Oh no, I'm gonna be one of the 298 million people who don't watch that show. So that's
Sebastian,
all
they
right.
showed the trailer for season 2 of Gotham.
Yeah, I know, and
Wait, I'll jump on Gotham. What a
my
raging
prediction already
pile of
came
shit.
true that they
He's
couldn't
not in
go
the
one
bat suit.
season without having the Joker on the show.
This season looks like it's going to be all about the Joker.
Oh boy.
I know.
yeah.
Is he gonna be a prepubescent boy as well, who's just angry? And
I just can't wait
laughing
to-
No,
all
he
the
was
time?
already in the first. He's like late
Yeah, he was
teens,
like
early
fishing with it,
20s.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see him get tattoos. That's all I'm waiting
But it's
for.
just one of those. I watched I was like,
Yeah.
it's like Gotham is really boring, and it still is. And it's just like they won't go one season without the Joker, and everyone's like, no, but I know they're changing stuff, but you're just going too far, man. And then all of a sudden, guess who shows up on Gotham? They have these like promos of him, doing the exact same scene from Dark Knight. It's like, all right, where's my money? Can I get some money? Anybody owe me? Who owes me money for taking this bet?
Well, they were even talking about now
Well, they already
Batman's
said-
going to show up on Gotham. I'm like,
Yes.
how the
Sebastian
fuck is that going to
horny,
happen?
man. This is
Batman's
crazy.
gonna show up on Gotham.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they already
Kid's
said
gonna
Batman's
dress
showing up.
as Batman?
Well, no, he just starts developing that second personality.
Yeah.
He starts developing
they're
that
just gonna go
need to
schizo.
go,
So, like,
And
every day he'll
I
be-
can't
No,
wait
he's
for when
gonna
Tell
be.
Travis
He's
is
gonna be like
Weird.
Alfred. I want Cheerios, and then later he's like, I need justice for my parents.
He's going to be standing in
And
the
I've
mirror.
already-
Apple Jacks, or I'll destroy the city.
My next prediction is time jump, and they'll do a time jump, and it'll just be Batman.
No, he's
Oh,
going to
God.
stand in the mirror and his
That'll be the
voice will
last,
start changing.
or
and then-
that'll be the last scene in the show is him as Batman.
That's
Oh my
what
God,
they,
that'll
well,
be
they
like
talked
the
about
Peter
that.
Brady
They
thing.
said that.
and
Alfred, I'm feeling.
and Penguin is gonna be like 60 years old, and Eartha Kitt, Jada Pinkett Smith will be.
Oh,
60
she's dead.
years
She's
old.
gone.
She's gone. She's long gone.
Nobody ever
Joker
dies,
will
does
be
Danny
50 years
DeVito will
old.
make a guest appearance.
Well, they should get Danny DeVito back. It's just one of those really
He's
weird
not
things
doing
where,
anything right
like,
now.
everybody is going to be geriatrics
Doing
by the
Sonny
time
Sonny
Batman.
Always Sunny.
Oh, that's
Son of
it.
a-
That he is doing studies.
He's always so sunny. He's got stuff.
He's waiting on Twins too.
He doesn't need twins too. He's
With
got.
Eddie
It's
Murphy.
always sunny.
with Eddie Murphy. That was the triple.
That was the original.
They actually talked about doing that.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
basis of the joke.
You know, you have a microphone.
Yeah, I know I do, but I'm also chewing. So.
So last night, Walking Dead had its spinoff, Fear the Walking Dead. We started a new show, The Walking Dead.
We started
Actually,
our own zombie show.
we started our own zombie
Yeah,
show.
we're taping it right in the backyard.
It's awesome.
It's called Fear the Walking Poop. That's all around.
So we started a new podcast. It's going to be a review show every.
This is the last episode.
No, it's not going to be Talking Dead.
Nerdables
It's
is
just-
over with 100.
we didn't even get there. We just got 99.
We're just going to stop at 99. We're lucky to hit there.
Right?
But yeah, we started with the Walking Dead Deadcast, and we're gonna do that every week. But did anyone watch the Fear the Walking Dead last night?
Yeah.
Ethan did.
Besides the three people that were here watching it.
Yeah,
It means
we,
did
Yeah,
any of our three other people that were not on the podcast last night catch Fear the Walking Dead last night?
Sebastian, did you watch Fear the
yeah,
Walking
I
Dead?
liked it.
You did.
I like
Wait.
it too.
Guys,
He had a goatee.
He did.
And there it is.
there it is. He gets it.
We were talking about before we started this podcast that whenever Travis is here, or when all of us are here, there comes one point where someone just dies laughing.
And Chris
this is
got
the
broken.
He broke
Someone
our
pushes.
Chris.
Hey Sebastian, can
Again,
you push his
it's
respect
that
button?
fucking delivery. As we're just kind of like, wait, he doesn't like it. I've just got over saying
doesn't
he's
like
all
this,
ordinary.
doesn't
He's
like
like this. Well, he had a goatee. Boom, just died.
So, Sebastian, what'd you like about it?
The
Goatee.
Yeah, that was good. But the big thing for me is that, like The Walking Dead, the biggest trap you could fall into is you're basically going to run into marauders and other people. So going back in time and seeing the fall of a city is interesting because they didn't really do it before in the comics. They touched on it briefly in the show. They got to see the bombing of Atlanta. And it's just a good place to go because if you were to just jump right in and be like, okay, we're 6 months into the apocalypse, then it's just like, oh, marauders in LA, get to see gang members. Like, it's not really going to be any different, but seeing a city...
Any different than the way it really is?
Yeah. Seeing a city crumble is interesting, and I'll be intrigued by what they do with it.
So, as the show progressed, as the episode progressed, was there... Because we were talking about this last night, that we felt the show, if you would have just taken that last half hour and you started the show at the 1 hour, 30-minute mark, or the 1 hour mark, then it would have been a better episode. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know necessarily that it would be better. I don't mind a shorter episode, but it's also, I think, a better way for Robert Kirkman to explore his universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like the fact that I was mentioning to Ethan, like throughout the episode, every time they're outside, and as the episode progresses, you hear more and more police sirens zooming across the city, more and more helicopters. You get to have those moments of the guy on the highway. You get to just in the hospital, the old man dying.
And
Right.
The guy in the park kind of like shuffling.
Yeah,
around, like,
the
driving.
zombie hobo in the park. All the kids slowly being missing or staying home from school. So I think
Right.
that's a really good build-up. And, the one kid who was on the internet and all, like, listening to reports from other cities saying, people are just suddenly attacking other people. Stay in groups, keep armed. And he brings a knife to school. And she's like, get off the internet, man. It's all that, all that internet,
Yeah.
So I thought that was really neat. And it's a different show. And it's a show for people who already know about zombies. You can't hide the monster. And there's
I think that's one of the problems with it, though, is they tried too hard to hide the monster.
I don't think so, because you see the zombies right away at the beginning.
Right, but what I'm
You
saying
see
is...
them. You see them scattered throughout the
The
episode.
thing with it is...
and you have
the
to watch
stuff that
the
you're
city
talking about
fall
that you
apart.
liked... No,
Yeah.
this is it. The premise is interesting to me, and the stuff that you mentioned was interesting. What I said is if you would have thrown them into where the freeway was, from the freeway point on, you could have gotten all of the characters there rather than having to spend a complete hour waiting for this kid to break out of the hospital. The beginning is a big tease. You get to see it for a second, and then you don't see another zombie for another hour. I'm not saying if you cut it and you just put that half hour, it's perfect. You had to sprinkle some pieces in, but you could have made a standard hour if you had started at the point where they're on the freeway, that they're looking for Nick.
I can understand that.
And I thought it was interesting. I thought
wish
that
they would
the
have
point
pushed-
with the extra sirens and the stuff like that was brilliant
Yeah.
because it was a background piece
It just
that
kept
you didn't
growing
really
a little-
notice.
yeah.
It was kind of in the back of my head, and then when she walks outside the high school or whatever, the day before they actually evacuate the high school, I think the day that Nick escapes, and you hear the helicopter go overhead, you hear the sirens in the background, you're like, oh yeah, this has kind of been prevalent here for the last 10, 15 minutes of the
Right.
show, that there's always something going on.
Well, you also see in the background, you'll see a police car.
yeah,
go
you
past,
see police
and,
cars.
You see
always
more
with-
of a presence.
Yeah, every time you see a police car, it always has its sirens on or the lights. The one thing I would like them to have pushed more would be like I didn't mind the opening because I like the idea that he's a drug addict. And he doesn't know if it's real. And I liked his arc when he goes to his drug dealer, like, was my drugs laced? And his
I like that too.
What are you talking?
I would have loved that better if the audience had not seen the visual themselves.
See, I don't know. See, when I was thinking about it earlier, it's not so much that if they hadn't seen the visual, but if they pushed the idea of him hallucinating even further, have him actually be coming out of the trip, so you see things blurry, have his auditory
I could see
senses
doing
be
that
throwing
scene
off.
where he runs into Calvin and he's talking about, did you put something in it? Is it laced? Because this is what I saw. And as he's describing it, you're doing,
Like a flashback.
like a flashback thing. That
I could
would
see that.
I thought that would have been more powerful because you're there. You know, as an audience member, exactly what happened.
Right.
There's no real mystery to.
I think
what
if they had
happened to
covered
him.
it up more, like,
But
again,
wouldn't
like
it have been better-
if he sees her like just chewing at the floor and seeing it kind of blurry, nothing too in focus, and then she lunges at him, you know, having his auditory senses be thrown off, you know, just, you know, simple effect to be like, you know, muffled sounds,
Well,
and he steps in blood, just to have that moment of like, what's going, and then he runs away, gets hit by the car. And it's not so much like, because it's we're the audience, we already know what
See,
a zombie
and
is.
to
See,
me,
that's the other thing is we already like that's one of the hard things about prequels or doing
Anything.
that kind of stuff. Well, especially when you already have an established world where you have an audience that knows what's
And they know
coming
the
or what's
rules.
gonna
You
be.
gotta
and you've
shoot
given
zombies
away
in
the
the
big
head.
secret, which
That's
is
the
it's
thing,
a
it's
virus and it's not spread through contact infection.
Right. And we were talking about this before the episode. How it's like, you can run into a pitfall of like you already know what's coming. You already know what's going to happen. You already know everything that's existed in the show, so you can't just repeat it.
Right,
'Cause
they
you're
did.
only gonna
They
get so
did
many
very
repeat
clever
customers.
nods, especially with like Calvin when he's shot. And we know that everybody's already infected. It's too late.
Right.
And instead of redoing that whole exposition, it was just I swear there was a body here, and they're just sort of like, well, you're still coming off of your drugs. You're on the DTS, and then you see Calvin.
They did a good job of making you believe that the characters, this was all brand new to them.
Yes, yeah,
I thought they,
and I
and that's what you
appreciated
have
that.
to do. It's just like in comics when a character dies, it's not that you have to make the audience believe that character dies. You have to make the audience believe that the character is within the comic.
Yeah, that world
That it affects
is
them.
really believing it.
Yeah, and I thought they did a good job of that. I didn't dislike that first hour was so long and so kind of boring and needless to me. And I fully admitted in the episode last night, part of my problem is I'm sick of the I don't like you, Dad. No, I don't like you, Dad. Yeah, parents suck. And the whole thing with that, I just like, ugh, I've seen this a million times. I don't need this anymore.
The government's the bad guy.
That's what's
and
coming.
The man is...
But like I say, I'm interested in the premise because, yes, it is something that it's going to be interesting to see how something falls apart. The brilliance of what Kirkman came up with in terms of how society falls apart so quickly is because it's an airborne virus. When everything goes to shit and you start rioting to go get food, people are going to die. And
Right.
they're not going to be shot in the head. They're going to die on a pavement. They're going to get
They're gonna get
stabbed.
hit by rocks.
They're going to get hit by rocks. Going to get hit by a car as they're running across the street. Those people very quickly become zombies. And all of a sudden, it's not you have one person that has to start biting 10 people. And then those 10 people have to bite 10 people. That's
Right.
going to take forever.
Right.
In Kirkman's universe for the zombies is all it takes is the 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 people that cause everybody else to freak the fuck out.
Right.
And
when
they
when
start
Sean and I
killing
were
each other.
becomes a
discussing the episode when we watched it this morning, it was one of those because there is no true patient zero. Everybody's already sick. But that thought experiment of like, okay, who was the first zombie? Something like was it a guy in a hospital? An old person in an old folks home? Somebody getting hit by a car? Who was it? Because we have the implication is that his girlfriend died because of an overdose.
Yeah.
And became a zombie.
Right. That's kind of what I got the feeling from.
And then it had already things were already happening because the kid in the school with the knife
Yeah.
has been saying this has already started.
Yeah,
in
and
5
states
other
and
states.
stuff like that.
And
Exactly.
he's already hearing the news reports and the reports from the
thing with it
other
in terms of-
authorities.
the thing with it in terms of origin is Robert Kirkman has said he doesn't care.
Right,
He's
and
one
that's
of those
fine.
like I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
Apparently he's on record basically saying I don't care where the origin is.
It's a
I don't
virus.
care
It
who
doesn't matter.
It's a virus.
I
We
don't
don't
wanna
know if we're
explain
ever
it.
going to get into. The government released it. The Russians released it. The Chinese. We don't
Well,
care.
by not telling you,
And he's
it
already
gives
said that
everybody
that's
their
not
own
a-
interpretation.
Well, but he's already said it's a virus. How it happened is unimportant.
Exactly.
Because it's true. Because by the end of it, the world's already decimated. There's no one to retaliate against. It doesn't
Although he
matter.
did say last night, this is also what he originally, when he was doing Walking Dead, said that he was trying to avoid.
Yes.
That was the reason to put him in a coma. Was I don't
I
care
skipped
about the
that.
start of it. Yeah, I wanted
Yeah.
to skip that part.
Yeah.
But obviously,
And that's
he's not.
fine.
He's not the only person that's creating this. There are other
No,
people
but do you
that are
think
running around.
this gives him a chance as executive producer and as the creative input to it to go back and explore that 6-month period of we went from no zombies to Rick waking up where there's a door, and there's a room full of zombies behind it. Now here we are at the beginning of it. It gives him a chance to explore some of the things that he possibly came up with as the backstory for himself when he was writing it.
If he goes back to the aliens thing, it's going to be brilliant.
I love when he did that little mini comic.
Yeah.
Just in the back of with Rick waking up. It's like, Michonne shows up. We got to get out of here, there's aliens.
Yeah.
It was pretty great. The other thing that Sean and I were discussing, and I mentioned it to Travis and Ethan earlier. When they first sold the show, as like, okay, we're taking it out of Atlanta, we're going back, and we're going to do an exploration of the world of The Walking Dead. I envisioned, when they said that, every season would be a different locale and a different group of people, and I don't know if they're going to stick with that. I don't, they haven't said anything. I'm sure they've already got season 2 contracts, being written right now.
Well, season 2's already listed.
It's
the
already
first
done.
2 are listed.
I mean,
on
it's not
IMDb,
done,
yeah.
but it's already.
There's
it's already
8.
in
There's
the
8 for
books.
this, and then there's.
Yeah.
They've already have. There's
Probably
So-
do 10.
So it'll be interesting to see what, like, if they, that's how I saw it, and that's, my own expectation. But apart from that, I think it's a good exploration of things like, okay, even if they stick it with LA, but you can jump around with character. You can use this show as an excuse to move around, and that's fine. Even if they only do a couple seasons. But something
Walking Dead, Kansas.
Well, that's fine.
Well, no,
because
in
different.
all honesty,
different
what he's
world-
talking about is something that I talked about once about Star Trek, except it would be way too expensive. Is that you could spend a year on a different ship.
Right.
You could
Right.
have a new crew every season.
Right.
You have the Excelsior, and then you have the
Voyager,
the Leonardo,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
whatever, and it's just. You can have a different crew, so you don't have people that are locked into these huge contracts, and you could do a new Star Trek season every single
You
year.
do an
Right.
anthology
It's
almost.
extremely expensive, obviously,
Yeah,
as
'cause
you're
you have to
designing
build
new
brand
stuff or
new
whatever.
sets. And
Well, it depends. I mean, those
Well, this
sets
when
can
I
get
first started talking about
expensive.
this, it was like 10, 15 years ago. It was at the end of next
okay,
gen,
okay.
and I'm like, they're never going to do this now.
You do it as Star Trek, Starfleet.
Possibly,
and
yeah.
then-
It's
Well,
almost
but-
like
but
it's almost
honestly,
like a
you
first
could-
year.
I mean, just in that, that wouldn't be that bad to
Yeah.
build the sets. You need a bridge set, and then you could literally
You can
redecorate
modify-
reuse
every other
hallways.
Hall. Yeah, all
Well,
the
you could-
hallways,
yeah.
all the rooms. Can
the
be
Disney
redecorated.
Channel, for every one of their teen shows that their live action shows,
They all
they
use the
have
same general
once
sets.
one goes away, they start with a new, basically the same facade for
Oh yeah,
the one
they
set.
clean it, repaint it, put new furniture, different furniture. in
Stairs
the
are
same
almost
place.
always in the same place.
Yep.
Things like that.
Yeah, you said it in the same time period, so the ships would have a same
it's
aesthetic.
aesthetic, yeah. But
But
the idea
with
of,
that
of geopolitical
Oh god, that'd be so
repercussions.
cool.
How do governments deal with this? An entire season dedicated to someone like the president of the United States.
See, that would be interesting. to
You know,
me.
Have you ever read World War Z?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and
basically
it's
what it is.
it's the same. It's the same concept because you
Same
get the,
idea, different.
but you get the tales. of the
same
different
idea
people.
set in the Kirkman world.
Yeah, because World War Z, the movie, ended up nothing like the book.
Oh god, no.
Yeah, because
But
the
we've
book,
talked
the book
about this.
is
It's too dense.
how well no, it's
Yeah.
also it's not about zombies. It's about,
about-
how different
Right.
societies, governments, and individuals will deal with a zombie.
Right.
Exactly.
And you really
that's what
couldn't
we
s-
were talking about is like this one could be that whole like you bounce from country to country to country to see how
See how the Russians
each
are dealing
people-
with it.
Right.
Yeah, see how each group of people deals.
You know,
with this.
because
Mother
you're gonna
Russia,
you're gonna have
zombie doesn't eat you. You eat zombie.
you do a one-off episode where you're in the middle of the northern tundra and it's just a couple people looking outside and the zombie just falls in the snow and freezes and it's like, okay, episode's done.
That's the whole
Hey
episode.
guys, I figured it out.
A polar bear,
Freeze them.
Freeze them.
We
Polar
just come
bears.
up here for winter, and
yeah, polar bear snatches one up and that's the end of the
Oh
episode.
my
So-
god! Then you have
Just like-
zombie bears.
Zombie polar
Yeah.
bear.
Oh hell no!
they've
Zombie
talked
polar
about.
bears.
There's been people that talk about like, why are no animals infected? Where's the zombie dogs?
Because
Where's
a
the
lot
zombie
because
bears? They're in a
a lot of
different genus?
viruses don't cross between different
That
species.
is-
Well, no,
But wouldn't it affect maybe like primates?
It could explode.
Zomrilla.
But also, I don't think chimps get colds. Like we get the same strain of cold as we do, so you'd have to,
There can be crossover, but it affects you differently.
You find out
Yeah.
the way to fight the zombie viruses.
The joke is that the reason why there's no zombified animals in the Walking Dead comic is because Charlie Adler does not like drawing animals, and that's that's pretty much what
simple
Robert
enough.
Kirkman said.
Yeah, that works.
There's
He's
the
like,
reason.
I don't like drawing it. I don't like
Sold.
drawing them.
So this question's for Travis, Sebastian, and Shauna because I asked this last night. Do you feel that doing an hour and a half last night was that more for the selling the show to the, or for the fans?
I don't think they have to sell anything. They could just put 10 minutes of static, 20 minutes of static, and call it Walking Dead. People would watch it anyways.
Yeah, the show's
Exactly.
already been sold.
Yeah.
The show's
Yeah, but
been
They
sold.
did it.
on the
They
for
back.
did it.
advertising.
They did it
But-
because they could.
But what I mean is for the advertisements, because the more money you sell for your pilot and things like that, the
It's-
more money you're going to be able to spend during the season.
It's a small part of the stunt that is the circus of the premiere, and many production companies do that kind of thing, where it's like, hey, it's going to be our big season. They
Premiere.
used to do this with 24.
Yeah.
They would do like a 2-hour premiere special with limited interruption
Right.
brought to you
Yeah.
by Ford.
And then on
Like,
the
they
DVD,
did
it'll
that kind
be
of
split
stuff.
up into 2 episodes.
Exactly. So,
The
that
truth
kind of
is, this
stuff
probably
done all
was
the time.
episodes 1 and 2 cut together.
Probably. And when it comes out on DVD, you'll see it kind
Yeah.
of listed.
Well, it's
that way.
also a way to slip in an extra episode when you're pitching the whole thing.
Mad Men's over, so they got nothing. They got
Yeah,
Speaking
exactly.
of Mad Men, this
It
goes
also-
right into the next news I was going to ask you guys about.
When is what's his name Don
John
Draper
Hamm.
gonna join the Fear of the Walking Dead?
John Hamm is supposedly coming on board,
Supposedly.
or rumored to be coming on board as Negan in Walking Dead.
His name has been tossed around so many times.
It's been tossed
Yeah.
around.
I like John Hamm, but he does not embody the look of Negan. And
That's exactly what I
with the
said.
governor, I mean, they changed the look of the governor's shoe, so I don't. That doesn't bother me too much. But it's also one of those things like Negan has he looks like a younger guy.
Right.
He's a guy. He's got a leather
Not
jacket.
a 45-year-old dude.
Yeah, not a guy in his 40s, because they already did that with the governor, essentially.
But he's also very brooding, when John Hamm's not brooding.
I mean, John
Negan is-
Hamm has the
Yeah.
size to be
Yeah.
intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
That
I
dude's
have-
6'2". I mean, he's
I
a
have
big
my
dude.
choice
Okay.
that
Who's
I
your
would
choice?
think would be an awesome because
Seth
he's a-
Rollins.
yeah,
AMC,
John
pay
Cena.
attention.
because he would
AMC.
be just as a great dramatic actor that he
Macho
is.
Man.
Just do it.
Yes, Macho Man.
Hulk Hogan.
Just tell us. Just tell us.
Chris Maloney.
Yeah. Okay.
Christopher Maloney?
if you're gonna
Detective Stabler.
if you're
from
gonna if
Law
you're
and
gonna
Order.
Yeah.
if you're gonna skew older, but he still has that. He is like Negan has like that oval head shape.
Mhm.
He's kind of balding,
Yeah.
but I think you could stick him in that situation. And you could pass him off
Chris, you haven't gotten to this
closer
part
to
of the book yet.
Negan because Negan's not in the comics he's not a handsome man. When you
Right.
stick Don Draper as the bad guy, it's
Well,
just
again,
like he's just so pretty. I don't what do
It
I'm
also
not-
depends
I'm not
on how
someone
they
who's
dress him.
sold
I
on the
mean,
look
when
as
you
much
see-
as
yeah.
what you do with that character. I mean, it's the
Right.
same thing. You're like, well, Ben Affleck doesn't look like Bruce Wayne. He doesn't have to look like Bruce Wayne.
That's
he just
true.
has to
It
look like
depends on
whatever
how you
they
play
decide
him.
to
I'm sure
draw.
I'm sure somebody could pull out a Batman issue. It's like there he is.
Yeah, at this
Sure,
point,
but I mean, it's like
people
all this
love
stuff.
Michael
I mean,
Keaton. Michael Keaton doesn't fit your classic
Yeah.
idea of what
but
Bruce
he
Wayne should
worked
look
real
like.
damn well. Here's the thing: from the beginning of Walking Dead, Kirkman was like, all bets are off. Anybody can be anything. Any story can go any direction.
Right.
So I mean, he's already kiboshed any kind of like they have to be what they were in the
Yeah, when you
Right.
get into that sort of thing, then you lose a lot of. You're gonna lose your creative freedom if you're trying to figure out. It has to look exactly like that person.
Right.
But they've done a good job of bringing people on the show that aren't as known as John Hamm is.
That's the big thing is the picking unknown actors tends to let you put somebody in the mindset of taking in a character
yeah.
versus like, oh, it's John Hamm. People have seen Don Draper for 9 years.
Right, you suddenly are watching John Hamm play the character instead of the character,
That's one of the things they talk about with like big name actors, and this is a well-known thing in Hollywood. When you hire George Clooney or you hire Tom Cruise,
Tom Cruise is a
you're
good
not
example.
hiring those people
For
to
their-
be
yeah.
the character.
You're hiring the
You're
character.
hiring them to be them.
Well, they're not character actors. It's like
But I, mean,
I
the
know
same
I've
thing
used
can
this
be
one
said
before.
For Johnny Depp, which I know you like arguing that
And I
he's
was
a
just gonna
character
say.
actor. But when you hire Johnny Depp, you get Johnny Depp.
But
Yeah.
even look at the new film he's doing now. He changes his look. You're not just
But
you're
he's
not just
still-
seeing.
in- but the end, he's
You
still
can
just
put him
Johnny
new
Depp in
clothes.
a
Yeah,
costume.
it's still Johnny Depp.
Yeah, but the best thing that Tom Cruise did.
He's playing Whitey Bulger as Captain Jack, right?
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I don't think
honestly
I-
that
I-
movie looks unbelievably good.
I heard you better the last time. Yeah, I
Yes.
don't know. It's one of those things where
In the end, I don't mind. I like him as an actor, and it's easy to give him a passing resemblance to Negan.
I
It's
love
not-
John
And
Hamm.
you can shave his head.
Yeah, it's not hard. Put him in a wig, give him a
Exactly.
leather
Give him a
jacket
skull
and a
cap.
baseball bat,
Yeah.
and you're fine.
Yeah, like a little bit of makeup magic, acting chops.
Yeah,
I mean, if he can sell it, it should be fine.
Yes, and it's John Hamm. He can
He's a hell
he
of
can
an actor.
act. It's
Yep,
not
he's a hell of an
acting
actor.
is not the problem, and I think it's fine. I just think he's too big.
That's the thing is like I get the argument for you have a lesser known actor who hasn't been all over the world. You have more freedom to let them do what they want with the
Right.
character and let them play.
Like when they cast the governor, the nerd community, I'll air quotes on that. They knew him from a single episode of Doctor Who, and they were like, "Oh, it's the guy from Doctor Who," and everyone,
Yeah.
okay, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
And he just did a really good job of playing a crazy guy.
Right.
And with John Hamm, you don't get that. You get a lot of baggage of what people expect from him, even though he's a good actor. I mean, it still throws me off when I watch him in comedy roles, when I see
Sure.
him, when he's on 30 Rock. But he's also
Yeah.
got that the BBC series, I think Dear Doctor. It's him and Daniel Radcliffe,
Right.
and he's really good in that. So,
Yeah.
But in the end, it's like if they cast him, fine, good for them, because then it's
Great.
AMC. They have the money.
It's going to garner
Yeah.
more attention.
Yeah.
That's their job, is to get more viewership.
Yeah, and if they cast an unknown, as long as he can act, that's all. That's all that's important.
That's all we
Right.
need.
Well, I mean, they've done a good job of casting people that can act.
Yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah, everybody on the
there's
show.
a few people that are just like a little iffy, but for the most part, their cast is pretty solid.
Yeah, for as much as people complain about The Walking Dead, I go, it's like, even I'm a lapsed viewer, but I'll catch it, when it goes to Netflix, or if I've
Right.
got it on the DVR, I'll watch it. But even then, it's like, I had no complaints from any of the actors on that show. Everybody's pretty much firing on all cylinders. They're giving it their all. Even when the
Right.
stories are weak, at least you can watch the shows for them.
Right.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, the acting on those shows are stellar.
Even at its worst, they're all still top-notch people to watch work. So I've got no issue. I got no issue at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from what I've seen, they all have with a really good chemist. They have really good chemistry. Everything is just pretty. It's just. I mean, I'm sold on them.
Yeah.
And by I just pulled up a picture of Negan because I didn't know what he looked like, and I think John Hamm can do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not impossible. It's not a task that's gonna.
Yeah. No, he does have a look. He does have a very charismatic looking smile, which that's the first thing that you notice about Negan when you read the comic. But I think the reason I say I choose Chris Maloney over John Hamm is that it's just Chris Maloney has that great aggressive attitude as a dramatic actor, and that's a lot of what Negan is.
He's very intense.
Right.
Also, I want to see John Hamm host Saturday Night Live every other week.
Well, yeah.
He's amazing.
Because he's really funny.
He's amazing. I mean, not only is he really funny, but if you look, he's one of the few guys that doesn't have to stare at the cue cards. Like, he actually comes prepared. And there's the old story, the very first one that he did with Bill Hader doing Vincent Price's Halloween special. His character that he was supposed to walk in as was completely changed right before they went on air. They're like, hey, so the character you're going to play, nope, you're going to play the suave dude, and you don't put on the costume, and here's your new lines, and you got to look. He's like, no, I got it. And that is the funniest one you'll ever see. When he comes in and he's like, you're not in costume. Yeah, it's too old-fashioned. A spacesuit is too old-fashioned? No, I had 2 old fashions, couldn't open the box. And that was it. And it was just boom, 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 boom. It's amazing. And he learned all of those lines on the fly while he was doing the other skits of the show. And then just walked in. He had less than 45 minutes to prepare that for a live comedy show and just nailed it. He is, he's more than talented.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess everybody is excited for this new season of The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
The way they make it sound is this one is going to be the biggest yet, because they're at a point
It's going to be
now.
hard to top season 2.
Well, here's the thing: is every season they say it's going to be the biggest one yet. So it's
That's for every
it just
show.
holds it. Yeah, it's just them boasting.
That's the one I want to see. But this season,
It's all right.
it's not really
so
going to be
much.
that great.
It's
You
not
know,
so
the
much.
last 5 have been really good. We're going to take a bit of a dip here.
Episode 2 and episode 8 are really
But
amazing,
Daryl's not in a
but
lot of them.
outside
Rick
of
just
that,
disappears for a couple hours. There's a whole episode where it's just Carl walking around in circles.
But do you think the second half of this season is going to be war? Because it seems like that's what they're building to, and
I think
they
they're
are
still
getting
a little
closer.
far away from it, aren't they?
Well, no,
They're prolonging it to get to it, but they are pretty much
They
there.
look
Well,
at, like it's more based on a power struggle between like Morgan and Rick. I think that's what it's more focused.
I think for the first half of the season.
Well, even for the first half.
Well, that's
yeah.
the thing is you've introduced a character there that wasn't in the comic, right? Morgan.
No, Morgan's
Morgan
in the
was
comic.
Yeah, he had the little kid who was one of the first people.
No, I know that's what I'm saying, but Morgan doesn't show up to this community. correct?
Yeah,
No,
he's there.
no.
Right.
Morgan in the books, he's
with them.
he's
I think
with
at
them.
some point, but he dies before they actually settle into the community.
No,
Yeah.
He's at the community. I thought then he dies.
maybe it's
he
just so
dies
long.
in the community.
Yeah, because his son dies, and then he finds
Because
Rick.
Morgan and Michonne start to get together in the comic book, and then he dies. He
Oh.
dies when the Horde takes over.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been so long since I've gotten.
All
to
I
this
know
part
is
of the comic.
that their tagline should be "Jesus is coming," because that's what I keep hearing. Is that he's there halfway through the season, so it's just like The Walking Dead season.
Oh, see, that's another character
He's a
that's
good
not there
character,
yet.
so
He's a great character.
yeah.
And then Michael Pena walks in.
I could see, cause
That'd
I
be
could see John
hilarious.
Hamm more as Jesus than as Negan.
No,
No,
no.
I don't know.
I'm sure there's a lot of women who think he's Jesus.
Jesus, Jesus.
Speaking
or
of Michael
Jesus.
Pena and Ant-Man, did you see the thing I posted on Facebook of the brutally taking Ant-Man and make it like 10 minutes?
Oh no!
Oh god,
I
it's
missed that.
fantastic. Oh, I gotta find it. You'll love it because it absolutely destroys that movie.
Really?
Oh yeah,
And
It
a lot of
points out
people,
all the
have
flaws in that
said
movie.
Ant-Man is one of the most enjoyable Marvel movies that they've watched.
It is, but when you really start to take it apart, you go, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense.
Did you see?
But I'm sure you could do that with anyone. I'm sure you could do that with Winter
yeah.
Soldier. You could probably do it with Avengers.
There's a
or
new
whatever.
call now for Marvel Comics to start up a new Fantastic Four book after the wake of the disaster movie.
Well, the movie flopped, so they don't have to worry about.
They don't have to worry about ruining
lost
it
sales.
and holding back all the Fantastic Four
Yeah, so they can go back.
Anything goes.
Yeah, they can go back to the Fantastic Four, do classic stuff, and they'll be like, "That's right, movies."
Well, the problem
It's just a bad dream.
the problem
Yeah.
not having Fantastic Four book has nothing to do with the movie. It has to do with the fact that there's nobody in Marvel's stable that has any interest in writing.
Right, but now
Right.
they're saying because of that, they want everybody's saying bring
I'm
it back.
sure
to
they're
the-
asking for people to pitch it. And there's people that's just not pitching it.
Yeah.
It's a hard book to do when you are facing a lot of runs that are very classic. I mean, it's sort of the problem that X-Men had after Chris Claremont. You have Faye Manissi and Scott Lobdell sitting there going, Claremont wrote this book for years. Every classic X-Men story is a Claremont story.
Mm-hmm.
The hell are we going to do? So you go into the 90s and it's just like extreme X-Men, yeah, and it's just crazy. Here you have Hickman's run just before it. You have John Byrne's classic defining run. You go all the way back to Lee and Kirby, and you can either do one of two things: you put the family completely together, or you tear them completely apart. And that seems to be the only two stories that anybody can tell.
Right.
Hickman takes the family together thing to a whole new dynamic. It's like his family's together from all of these different dimensions
Well-
and times and space and whatever. And you read about 3/4 going, what the fuck
And
is
that was
going
my
on?
next
And then
thing
at the
was-
end of it, it makes you cry.
Right, and then that was my next thing. Is, do
FF.
you think that the family has gotten too big?
No,
No, it's
you
not
can-
that the
you can-
family's too big. It's that everyone keeps writing the dysfunctional family point.
And yeah,
The point of Fantastic Four is supposed to be that they're together when everybody else is apart.
They're a tight knit group.
The
Yeah.
continuous fighting of Reed and Sue, what used to be kind of funny with Sue going, yeah, you're going to end up in your lab and you're going to forget my birthday, has become, you get in the lab, you forgot my birthday, I'm going to go have sex with Namor.
Yeah.
How do you like that? And that's kind of the attitude that a lot of people seem to throw into it.
Yeah,
It
it's
just
got-
gets
Oh,
really
right.
annoying.
they're
The best Fantastic Four book was FF in Marvel Now.
Yeah,
Because
Yes.
it was just fun and light and crazy. You have
Well, I
Matt
was just gonna
Fraction
say,
writing the
what-
book. We have Matt Fraction writing the book after Marvel Now. He gave up halfway through because he doesn't care about it. You have James Robinson, who admitted 5-6 years ago when he was tapped to write Justice League for DC, I don't like writing team books, and I'm not very good at it. He's writing the book. As I've said, Fantastic Four got canceled not because of Fox and not because of Marvel. It was because James Robinson's mother wouldn't read that book. She's not buying it off the rack. It's just, you're going to have it sit in fallow for a while. Somebody will come up with an idea, and they'll use that in a year or a year and a half or 2 years as a return. You've got a stable of stuff. You have a ton of new number ones coming out in October. At some point, you're going to have to supplant the ones that don't work. When you're going to supplant Inhumans or Karnak or whatever one of these or 10 of these fail, you're going to use Fantastic Four to
Yeah.
do it.
Do you think they should do Fantastic Four instead of doing Sue and Reed and Johnny and Ben, but take the kids? I know they did with FF,
They did that
but
too.
pick 4 kids of it, of the
Well,
FF.
that is what FF is.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Future Foundation. I think they need to get away from the Future Foundation, get away from the kids, get rid of one of the best and worst thing that ever happened to Fantastic Four is the 2 kids, because it's hard to have even the Matt Fraction run where they take the kids into space for a year because Reed's dying.
Right.
You're like, well, okay, so you're going to put the kids in massive amounts of danger? That's the problem. The reason that Franklin is so incredibly powerful is because they had to come up with a reason why people shouldn't be worried that his father and mother are putting him in mortal danger at every turn.
Sure, he had to be so
Because
powerful. that-
you walk up to him, I'm going to kill you.
sure.
Nope,
Sure you will.
now we're in a new world. Ha-ha, you
Yeah.
suck. And it's a hard thing to write. Hickman writes him fantastically. But if you take the 4, get them off Earth, go do whatever, have it be the space exploration book, make it into the cosmic book. The problem with it is everybody's using Guardians for cosmic now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you use Guardians for cosmic, you remove the Fantastic Four from that element of where I think they would make a lot more sense than on an Earth in which everything is Avengers and X-Men and it's all dark and gritty and terrible. That's not the Fantastic Four book. If you have a gritty Fantastic Four book, you failed.
The FF book I've always wanted to see is, you get a hard science fiction writer to do it, and Orson Scott Card is a hot button for a lot of people, but he's a person that I could easily see you stick Orson Scott Card on Fantastic Four. I mean,
You
because
take somebody like that.
yeah, or like him, but somebody like him or in that wheelhouse of doing hard science fiction. Because I mean, for whether people love him or hate him because of his personal politics, the man can write. And in the midst of all the Ultimate stuff, he wrote Ultimate Iron Man, which is easily the weirdest of all the Ultimate books.
Yeah.
But it's the book
awesome.
that had the flair that I think the Ultimate Universe needed above all else. And seeing someone like him pick up Fantastic Four, it's like, okay, we're gonna go do something, and we're gonna take it hard science. We're gonna go that Arthur C. Clarke.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that you can't do the popcorn space western of Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got to take it Arthur C. Clarke.
You
You've
go
got to
the
take
Warren
it
Ellis
as
side.
yes.
Yeah. But Warren Ellis is doing James Bond, so
He is.
nobody can have him.
That's true.
For 6 issues.
For
Like
six-
everything else he's done.
We just have to get through 6 months, and he can take
Yeah,
over
then you can take him.
Then
But
you
For
fine.
6 months.
for 6 months.
Until he's like, I really want to write another James Bond book, and then I
Right,
might ask
yeah.
him back.
Yeah.
I remember reading his blog post on his forum, because that book's coming out in a couple months. But years ago, he was on his website like, I've always wanted to write James Bond, but I'd always be too scared to do it. But let me tell you all about the James Bond I would write. And
Right.
then years later, he gets the chance to write James Bond. He's like, okay, this is my time to shine.
Right.
And I'm so excited for that book. And they're doing blank covers, so I'm going to go pick up a bunch of them and get artists to do different
Speaking
lines.
of covers, that gave me a great segue. Perfect segue.
Perfect.
Marvel announced the cosplay
For the love of
covers.
God, no. Just stop right
And I
there.
was just well, here's my
Nope,
point.
Nope. Just stop right
Do
there.
you
Stop
think
talking.
the
Just stop
variant
talking.
covers have gone completely
No, it
over
has
the
nothing to do
board?
with variant covers. It has
Do you
to
think
do with
they've jumped their own
It has
shark?
to do with the fact that all of those pictures are terrible.
They're horrible pictures.
Oh, yeah.
They're absolute. I'm not talking about the costumes. I'm not talking about the people in costumes. I'm not talking about the costumes.
Just
I'm
the-
not talking about the idea. Whoever is the director of photography for those covers needs to be fired.
These
There is not a
Yeah.
single one of those images that is compelling in any way.
Well, that's what I
shape,
say
or
is they're
form.
boring.
None
Well,
of them
yeah.
are lit well. None of them are compelling in terms of composition. Their backgrounds are complete crap. Shoot them on a fucking green screen
Wait.
or something. They are ass, absolute ass.
Wait a
And
second.
again, I'm not talking about the cosplayers themselves, and I'm not talking about their costume or their craft. I'm simply talking about the photography and the choices they made in terms of composition, lighting, and background.
Wait, they use cosplayers as a variant cover?
Yes, they're doing a whole series of
I've gotta see
covers
this.
that are,
And there's only one of them I've ever heard of.
Oh my god!
but they're not. It's not it's not like Riddle whoever does her photography and then she did like a wasp costume and then we'll actually do her like next to Iron Man.
Well, they have Yaya as one of them.
right, but she's the only big name.
There's two names in there I recognize. There's only one that I think anybody else.
Oh
will
wow,
recognize.
those are terrible.
But yeah,
If those
I
are real.
agree with Chris. I love the idea because these people put so much time and effort in these costumes. But then to not
not
have
shine
them
them.
shot in front of a green screen, even if it's just like, hey, go to a photographer, go to a studio, get a couple shots. We'll cover pay for it, and then
But there's interesting backgrounds that they don't have to
don't-
shoot them in front of a green screen.
Are
I
these
don't-
really? Are those them?
Yes.
Those are terrible.
I
Like-
don't necessarily
It seems
love
like
the
those look
idea.
awesome.
I don't necessarily hate the idea, but nothing in those photographs is making me feel one way or the other.
Yeah,
it
it
feels
looks-
like an idea that was like, hey, we should do cosplay covers. Perfect. Get these
It's a-
people to send us photos.
Yeah, it's
Would
a,
it
it's
been-
a pandering shot.
Would
I
have
mean, it
been
really
better
is.
to take these cosplayers and put them in classic comic book cover
even if
poses.
it's not covers, but it's just the idea that like they could have. I mean, it could have just been like if someone's doing a group shot of the X-Men, it could have just been them on a faux mountaintop. All lined up with the stars or Apocalypse or something in the background.
Well, I've seen better composition and better shot selection from people taking pictures at Comic-Con than what I was seeing in the images.
Right.
Yeah, this looks like something you see on somebody's DeviantArt
So we're
page.
looking
Like-
we're looking at a photo of a guy who's in a great classic Cap costume, but then it looks like he's standing in front of his house.
Yeah, it's
Seriously,
just
it
like
looks
he's
like
in his
he's got
backyard.
two
Yeah.
trees
Well,
and, like,
and
a
that's
building.
and that was what I was kind of wondering.
If you're
were
fighting
these,
the Red Skull, you're going to fight him in your backyard.
Even
were
like
these pictures that they personally took
That's-
and submitted?
It feels like
That's what it feels
the
like.
The first article that I read on it, that was the criticism of it, basically said, did they take these off of their Facebook page?
Yeah.
And
Because, I mean,
if that's the case, then they should have done a thing where they had them submit and showed their submission photo in the back of the book, but brought them to LA or New York or somewhere and done a professional
Do a
shoot
photo
to
shoot.
really shine it out.
Yeah, these are all very lackluster. Like,
And it's not the
Well,
and
well,
to
nothing to do
to
with the
preface, because
cosplayer.
there's going to be a lot of people saying, like who may misinterpret. No, we're not. These people have. I mean, just some
That's
of the
a
They
whole- yeah,
look
the-
amazing.
Yeah, they
The-
look
the-
great.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
the costumes are
where
great.
cosplay fits
environment
into the
around
pop
them.
culture universe is a completely different topic, and it's one that if you've looked at the flyer for Long Beach
That's for
Comic-Con,
another show.
It's an entire side of cosplayers, and then the other side is these comic creators showed up too.
I'm just really disappointed that the Winter Soldier book's ending before I got a chance to do my Winter Soldier for it.
Well, I'm sure this is a better Winter Soldier than you out there.
Hey, no one has the arm better.
That's me.
I would-
wait,
I
wait,
would say
I take it back.
I'm gonna-
No one has the arm better that can move.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Fair enough.
make it out of metal.
All
Yeah.
the other ones are just kind of walking
Yeah,
around. with
'cause
their
we saw that-
stiff
we
arm
saw
and-
that
if
one
you
guy
look
at Comic-Con
If you
has
look
got-
at the pictures, you won't have to move it.
The one guy,
you
the
don't
one
have
guy
to move
that
it.
had the metal arm with the detail and everything was gorgeous.
Yeah.
But you couldn't move it.
Yeah, but but again,
It's
cosplay
for
doesn't
photos,
have
not
to
for
be
videos.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't
The
have
No,
to
only
be
one I
practical.
saw so far that I think is probably the best.
See,
is
no,
the
but
Iron Man one.
to me that
And
Iron
whoever
Man-
took that photo, there's good symmetry in it. There's good composition.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is the way they shot Iron Man is he looks really short.
Yeah.
Well, the guy is probably really short.
Yeah,
But
so-
you could have taken the shot and
you
angled
could
it.
angle
I
it,
mean,
could've
move
done
it,
it.
play
Sebastian,
with it.
I've seen you take photos on the fly that are just as well, if not better, than most of these pictures here.
Well, I appreciate that, but it's also a matter of I don't know what the process was. I really don't.
I mean, you've
we
taken
don't
pictures
know.
of Disneyland characters that are better.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know what the process. I don't know, and I don't want to put anybody down, especially because I don't know how these would run. I don't know if these are, hey, send us a photo, and somebody just grabbing their phone and saying like, hey, dude, can you take a picture for me?
Right.
Well,
I don't know if it's
Judging on most of these covers, they look like they were all in the same area. Like they found some
Yeah.
warehouse somewhere, and they're like, okay, let's go
They
behind
went
that
around to the
warehouse.
different locations.
Here's a couple brick walls. Here's a couple stairs. Here's a bridge. Let's just take a couple photos in these three spots.
And the
To me,
the
that-
costumes are great. It's just the
The
pictures are
the
good.
Spider Gwen, they should have taken it up on, get her up on top of
rooftop?
a rooftop, yeah. And you,
And thrown her off of it.
And
and take
thrown
the
her
picture.
right off.
no,
and
but you
say,
could have.
Yeah, but it definitely is
the
just sort of.
Spider-Man one.
The
I mean,
That
Spider-Man.
one's dope.
If you
That
look
was
at the
great.
That was
backgrounds,
cool.
it's the same sky, it's the same brick, it's the same
Yeah.
So yeah,
aluminum
so they found a
siding,
single location that they went to and did a photo shoot.
and the lighting is just natural light, which is fine. But it's just not.
Well, the main reason I bring up this topic is we're getting into the point where every month almost it's a variant cover of some kind of 3D, or you're getting a guest artist to do something, or you're trying to do something that's out of the box. Do you think it's going too far,
no. This is
or is it just an interesting,
No,
it's
dude,
a
I
fun?
remember when I was a kid, they were doing
1990s
3D covers, holographic
the
covers,
foil covers,
Yeah, they were doing all kinds of
So
stuff
here's-
to try to
here's-
progress it.
Here's a tip for the kids.
embossed covers.
If you can find Wildcats #2, which is the foil kind of crazy spiral,
Lenticular.
yeah. If you have a storage place in which you can't see the back because it's too dark, because it's a 5x10 and it goes all the way back, walk out and use the sun with the lenticular cover, and you will light that thing up like a fucking Christmas tree.
I mean,
it's amazing.
I mean, they did.
I'm
they did.
guessing you
I mean,
did that
DC
with-
Oh yeah,
did-
that's how Mikey
yeah.
actually worked one day, because he was all the way in the back and he couldn't see anything.
I mean, DC
So
did,
like, hold
yeah,
on, and I run
holographic
out with the
lenticular
Wildcats
covers.
2, and I'm holding it like a sun mirror, and got the whole back end completely lit up.
So I'd like have variants gone. No, variants already. They've already jumped the shark, and this is at least creative.
Long ago.
Yeah, this is at least
tried-
creative.
I mean, what was it? Wasn't it last year that we were talking about the 3D holographic DC?
Yeah, the new
variants
52
that they were doing?
variants that they did for
we
an
were
entire
talking about
month.
that for 2 months.
Yeah.
About that crap, and they were they were horrible. And
Most
so-
of them didn't work right.
Exactly.
Because they were not
They turned out
designed for
poorly, they didn't
lenticulars.
look good. So I mean, yes, they've been doing this forever
Since
and
the
ever and
90s.
ever. Have been doing.
Look,
crazy
as somebody-
covers.
This is creative.
This is a new
blank covers are creative, and it's
This
one of
is
those things
a new
like
style of something different to try to drum up something
Yeah.
special.
As somebody that's cosplayed and
It's
somebody that
exposure
makes
for these
cosplay
people.
costumes, I commend Marvel for doing this.
Yes.
I just wish they would have done it.
You just wish you had been in it.
Well, that's one reason.
All right,
Yeah.
fine.
I just look at them and I go like, I would like to have known what the process was for this.
Maybe we'll get a behind the scenes or
Right.
an
'Cause
interview
I'm
that tells us
intrigued
what
by
they
it
did.
because I mean
But see, what we did is we walked outside, and I said, "Okay, stand here," and I just looked this way.
They went to cosplay ski.
and I was done. And then I went inside and I took a nap.
Did you see any of these covers that make you want to buy that book?
I don't, well, those covers are going to be
That's not
variants
fair.
anyways.
That's not fair. Yeah,
Nobody
they're
would buy. I mean,
And
there's going to be people who will buy.
That's
We're
our
variant
interested
covers.
in knowing if there's
Yeah.
anything on the
Moot
inside
point.
that's going to make anybody buy that.
that
Yeah.
was that. Yeah. Here's another question: Is there are obviously 2 Mighty Thor books coming because you have
Yeah,
the,
they're doing they're doing Thor and Lady Thor.
right, but they have them both listed as the Mighty Thor
Okay.
for the cosplay variant.
So what's your point?
Well, I'm just wondering if that month
Or it goes bi-weekly.
huh?
Or it goes bi-weekly.
Yes. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what else we had to talk about.
Getting back to the variants, I was trying to find a good page for this, but I'm a huge fan of like anime and manga. A couple of pretty high profile manga artists did some Marvel variants.
Oh yeah,
Like,
those
they're-
were so
They were
badass.
they were amazing. I'm in love with that Hulk cover done by the Kill la Kill artist.
Yeah, that one was badass.
Oh my god! And
There
they
were a
had-
couple of the Spidey covers that were unbelievable.
yes, and also the Deadpool cover and the Miss Marvel cover. Like I was
The Miss Marvel was awesome.
yes, those are some variant covers. Like I would definitely buy those.
That's cool.
But it's not a cover.
No.
But I mean, that's the thing.
based off of Adam Hughes.
Yeah, exactly. But the idea that like there are people who are already doing these great photos.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is if you would have taken some of these classic classic covers, and recreated them
Oh,
with
like mock them
cosplayer,
up, but with
Yeah.
cosplayers.
yeah, to me that would have been more interesting than just shooting them in front of a brick wall
Yeah,
or
like the
something.
Spider-Man was a Spider-Man 3 or 200. That's like doing one of those kinds of
See, to me, the Spider-Man one is the closest one to looking like a traditional comic book
Spider
cover.
thing.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's. I'm intrigued. But yes, those.
It's interesting.
Those, yeah.
I'd love to hear how, what, where, when, why they did all of
I
it.
just
Right.
told you. Why
I
are you not
know,
listening?
and you're probably not wrong, but it would be interesting to see the thought process behind it.
Yeah.
You come, we take picture.
Yeah, I got it.
It's
You
over.
But yeah, those
print,
comic
people buy.
variants.
It's
Oh my
as
god,
easy.
those
Some of those animes were so
the manga
gorgeous.
artists did
Yes.
amazing
Oh my
work.
Check this
God.
out. So this is the Kill la Kill, the one that the Kill la Kill
Yeah,
artist
yeah.
did.
That's
with,
amazing.
With the Hulk. Oh, dude, they were so good.
Yeah, like
When was this?
This is Comic Cat was
last
just
month.
about a month ago,
Yeah,
and
the
somebody
summer
took
Comic Cat.
took a ton of blank covers and got the greatest manga artists.
No,
These
they were
are
actual
full of
variants.
cover. These are actual variants.
Yeah, these were actual official variants that Marvel did. They sent off to Japan and were like, "Hey guys, we'd love to have all of you do," and they asked them, "Do what you want to do." And all of them sent back their own takes on all the Marvel.
And they
characters.
haven't sold
they're-
them? People go
man,
crazy.
they're so good.
So you know,
Because I thought they were done on the blank covers, weren't they? That's what. At least that's the story I heard about them.
The way that it's putting it here is that they're actual variant covers.
The variants, they just never have put them out.
see the
Well,
problem
I mean,
is
Because none of those look familiar.
They're coming out August and September of this year.
Okay.
Well, we're in
'cause
August,
the-
and I haven't seen any of them.
I'm snatching up all of them.
There's the
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, we're already into August. Those
Yeah,
would have been
this
in
is the third
previews.
week.
we're in the
They're not in
mid-August. Yeah,
Those would have been in previews.
There's gonna be 20 of them in total.
I guess
okay.
we're in late August actually.
We're in late August. I have not seen a single one of
Yeah,
them.
so there's supposed to be 20 manga variants specifically made by Marvel. Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows, Guardians of Nowhere, Thor's. There's a bunch of
Oh,
them.
look at the Loki one.
Yeah, there's some
Yes.
really well
See, here's the
done
thing.
covers,
There's a lot of these.
and they look
You'll
gorgeous.
never
Here's
see.
the no.
This Black
August
Bolt
and
one is
September. These
beautiful.
books aren't coming out.
Yeah, the previews is already out for
Like,
September,
dude,
so they're
are
not
you
coming
kidding
out.
me?
That's amazing.
That's one of my
Yes.
favorite. It's
and get
so
it? Which
good.
it's
Which one?
amazing. Spider-Man.
The Spidey one. It is.
Yeah. See, that's the
so
thing. Is
sick.
what is that? What title is that listed for?
That one.
That one.
That one that
Because
does
the only
thing.
Here,
That one
only
Spider-Man
the only
book.
Spider book in August and September is Renew Your,
Your
Vows.
vows, and they've already listed like there are the J. Scott Campbell cover got announced.
Well, again, these are the variants. So the question.
No,
is,
that's okay. What I'm saying is
right.
None of these variants
They
exist.
were none of them were in the previews.
None of them are previews.
They were
none
not.
of them were solicited.
None of them were solicited.
They
for
can't
order.
be August and September for books that don't come out in August and
Yeah,
September.
She-Hulk's badass.
That's
She-Hulk
pretty-
is not. She-Hulk's not a book that would have a variant cover.
Yeah.
Like this one says it's Silk number 7, which would probably be out next month. because
Which
number
one was
6
that for? Silk or
Silk.
for?
This one's for Silk right here.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so
Right? The
That one's
manga
really
ones
nice.
are just
Yeah,
so
they're gorgeous.
cool
But the thing is, yeah, I still go through some of the Diamond stuff on their website. They like I've not heard, seen.
I don't know if these are variants available in the United States. That's
Okay,
what I
so
would tell you.
Sebastian,
better be.
here's your chore for this week. Figure out when these
Get
are.
us all the manga variants
Yes.
now.
Go to Japan and bring me all these variants, please.
Seriously, go to Tokyo.
Okay, well, as long as you pitch in to buy me, yeah, I'll go.
Should I burst everyone's bubble right now?
Go ahead.
Are they fake? No.
Noteworthy to fans of Japanese media. Over 20 issues from the home of Avengers and X-Men will be offered with special manga variant covers.
So I'm looking on the Diamond Retailer website, and the manga covers are available in the United States. So they're not just available in Japan or
eBay.
wherever else we were, or eBay, which I didn't find any listings on eBay either. So they do come out in August and September. Most of them are the Secret Wars titles or Secret Wars related titles. And most of the qualifiers for it is your shop would have to order more copies of books that are in the middle of their run, like Civil War 3, Loki, then either the number ones from 2 months ago or the book from last month, and then
So the
they
likelihood-
become all you want. So the likelihood of your shop having it is not impossible.
but
it just
it's not
depends
gonna
on
be-
well, it depends on what kind of that's the normal qualifier for a lot of them is if you order more than issue X, if your current issue you order more than issue X,
Right.
then you can order as much as you want.
But it's not like you're going to be able to walk into nearly every comic book
It
retailer.
depends on what you're doing. If they're tying it into the number ones, it's going to be harder because you're always going to order more number ones because you never know what the series is going to do.
There's like 6 or 7 shops that are well-known shops in the LA area. What's the likelihood of walking into 3 of them and finding them?
It just depends. I mean, every shop orders differently. You have shops that order in big numbers. You have shops that order in little numbers. You have shops that don't try different things. I mean, you're talking a Loki book that probably is the bottom third of what Marvel's selling. It's not that hard to get over what you ordered 2 months ago.
Right.
But it's also you have to order what you ordered 2 months ago, and you're paying for every variant. So you may not be ordering more than 2 or 3 variants. So
how many of these titles have already come
I
out?
haven't seen any of them yet. So that's the other.
But no, I just mean of their.
Oh, I
normal-
don't know. I'm just flipping through the thing, and it's a lot of dates for last week, this week, and September 2nd. So this is the 26th,
So did it
the
start?
18th, 26th.
Did it start last week?
It looks
then?
like last week. I think there was at least one of them I saw that was last week. So
So then some people they can already go start to look for these and find them.
yeah,
possibly-
they should be out. At the very least, they'd be out. I lost where I was.
Does it show when the last one will be coming out?
No, I'd have to look at each individual date, and I'm not looking at all those because now I can't even. Oh, there it is. Let's try search. That's not what I wanted. Anyway, so yeah, they're out there. I don't want anyone thinking that they're not.
So yeah, what we've been saying is they weren't available, but apparently they are, and it's going to be really hard to find them, and it'll be.
But
fun to find
it's
them.
not going to be something like, when you have 1 in 100s or 1 in 250s that a lot of shops never get to. So
I wonder
they're-
I wonder if you'd be able to pick them up like on Amazon or you have some of the.
well, Amazon's not really ordering individual issues
But there's.
like that.
I'm
though.
wondering about some of the online retail stores. The comic book online.
I guess
stores.
I've never looked on there. I've always looked for eBay. My comic shop sometimes has them, but usually they're out fairly quickly, if they've ever carried them at all. Fascinating.
I wonder if Pulp Fiction or some of these others, that do exclusively online. But here's the other thing is,
Well, Pulp Fiction isn't exclusively.
well,
online.
that's true.
They have 2 stores.
Mile High might, but what do you think that they're going to do? Hopefully, they'll do a book. Put them together in a book like they did
They
some
won't.
of the others. You don't think so?
They haven't done that in a long time. Look, if DC isn't doing the Darwin cookbook, the Darwin Cook cover
The
book,
Darwin Cookbook.
yeah, if they don't do the Darwin Cook cover book, they're not going to do anything.
Going back to the cosplay covers, if DC were to do cosplay covers, they'd all be Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Every version of Harley, because that's all you see really at Comic-Con is Harley Quinn, and every form of Harley Quinn there is.
Joking aside, it'd be fun, but it's also, I mean, that gives anybody else a chance to try something
They'd
different.
also be
If
dark
Image
and gritty.
guys, if the Image guys decided to like, hey, we're going to do cosplay covers too, and they actually decided to go all out and, you know, it's like, okay, you're, you know, go into a cornfield somewhere and be Rick.
Seriously.
See,
a
that would be
cover.
cool.
But you throw a bunch of dirt and some fake blood
Yeah.
and throw
Well,
some
there's a
rotting corpse and he's got the shotgun over the side. It'll look badass.
there's a group that goes around through Comic-Con and
That's
WonderCon
the
and all
thing.
that.
It's like
That does the whole whole
And no,
group.
this is Marvel. No, like no 501st Star Wars
Seriously,
cosplay variant
seriously,
covers.
Wow.
What?
seriously, no Darth Vader, no nothing. On top of which, when you look at those cosplay covers, there's nothing like done to them. There's no dressing of the set. There's no dressing of the character. They're not in victory or in fight or in
Any action at all.
loss, or like they're not bleeding, or there's nothing. There's
It's
just
a
them
costume
standing there.
showcase.
Could you
Which
imagine
is
seeing
cool.
Star Wars the Star Wars book with the classic Star Wars poster with, you know, the Luke holding the lightsaber above his head and Leia on his leg, all cosplayers?
Right, it'd be great.
That would be
But-
great.
Yeah,
But it's they
but
didn't
they
do
wouldn't
that.
have done that. It would have just been Luke
Or the
standing there
Lando
looking
book with a cosplayer dressed
But
as
it's
Lando.
but yeah, all we got
with
is
a Colt 45.
yeah, I'm fascinated by the covers in that, like, good for all the people who got into the covers.
Totally.
This is
Yeah.
this is
Awesome
great
for
for
them.
them.
It's but
Yeah.
it's a question of my
I'm
question
hoping
is
Marvel's going to send them a box. They can, you know, all have their own little booths and sell them on their websites. Just sign the covers.
That
That'd
would
be
be
cool.
cool. That would be really cool.
It's like,
if
hey,
they
I was
could
on
get-
I was
yeah,
on
give 'em
Iron Man
100
number
of 'em.
1.
Yeah.
But my question is when, how, and who
Why?
did they
Where?
say?
When? How?
Who did they decide?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Because there's
I
been
wonder if
no
there was, like, a
official
contest
announcement.
we didn't know about.
Who can come to take picture in front of warehouse?
Or did they just like pick people out of different cons and go, "Ooh, we like your look. Hey, we're gonna."
it really could have
I
just
like
been
the
that.
gut
It
of
could have
your
been,
shit.
hey,
That's entirely possible.
they're in a con and they just walk up to someone and say, hey, you have a really cool Iron Man suit. We're
Stuff
thinking
like
about
that has
doing a
happened
cover.
before.
Here
I
you
mean,
go.
there's-
Yeah.
Take
I
a
forget
picture
the
and
guy's
send it
name.
to us.
There's a specific cosplayer who is kind of like the Iron Man cosplayer, and I forget his name right now. But he's done
Tony
the whole
Stark.
like no. But he's done the whole like he has
Robert Downey Jr.
no.
No.
There's a specific guy
Oh.
who's really gone out. He's built like 6 or 7
He does.
different ones.
I think it's the same. He has a YouTube channel.
He does have a he
yeah,
has a
and
YouTube
and he
channel.
goes. He just built the Hulkbuster that
That's
opens
correct.
all the gauntlets move. He can
Yep.
lock
Is
himself.
this
in.
is
He's
this the
got-
guy
he's
that
got
did the
rocket-
laser? He did the
Yes.
laser for the arm gauntlet.
Yep, he's got workable gauntlets.
He's an
he has
Englishman.
detachable pieces.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
got rocket pods that come off of the shoulders. He has the movable mask. It's
It's
all
the, is
there.
it, it's the English guy because I think he also did an R2
may have done it.
BB-8.
He does
yeah.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
He does a lot. He does a lot of maneuverable costume suits. He's
But
done
and he's
Halo.
got like that. He's got the he's got the Peter Weller build like RoboCop. He's
Yes.
incredibly thin.
Yes.
So
yes.
he can
He
bulk
works
up the
out
suits
specifically for it.
Yeah, he can bulk out the suits as much as he wants because he's rail thin
Yep.
to be in those costumes.
Yeah.
and they're
and
amazing.
yeah. His costumes are insane. He could have.
and that doesn't look like his suit.
Right.
No, because
See,
he
but
could have
that's
done,
what I'm-
like full mask, full.
Yeah,
like,
everything
rocket
opens
pods.
up.
Yeah.
He's got rocket packs that open up. On
Yeah,
the
yeah,
back
oh
that
yeah,
line
no, I've
up.
seen
I mean,
it.
they're insane.
I'm just but that brings me to my question of how did they come up with these are the cosplayers we're going to choose?
It very well might have been a hey, they saw them at a con and asked them, or it could have been we didn't hear about
because
it. There was
obviously
some kind of-
Yaya, they went okay. She's one of the most famous ones. We'll put her on
She's
here.
the queen of cosplay.
Yeah.
Trademark, copyright.
patent pending.
Great, Sebastian.
Don't
Now we're
gi-
going to have to pay
Don't give
for
her
it.
any more ideas.
She's already done it.
Probably has.
I saw Heroes of Cosplay, Queen of Cosplay. That was trademark, right? That's
So speaking of Queen of Cosplay, Brian Singer. I don't know how that actually goes together, but you know,
You're an a-hole.
Brian Singer announced that Apocalypse has wrapped filming as of I think today or yesterday or sometime last week.
Yay!
Is he still
Is he
purple?
still super tiny?
Brian Singer or Apocalypse?
Apocalypse.
Oh,
Both.
Is he
He's
still
Ivan
small?
Ooze.
Is he still very small?
He's Ivan Ooze.
I don't know that, but it has wrapped, and you know, so it's further along now. That just
Looks
was
fun.
fascinating.
Yeah, another year until we see it. So, all right.
Speaking of
The,
movies that
the
have
character
wrapped,
design
or-
looks
Yeah.
awesome. The size leaves a little something to be
Yeah, it looked very Stargate. His costume, which didn't,
very much Stargate.
It
which I didn't mind at all. But
Dude.
yeah, I'm a.
Give me Stargate, like, that would be awesome.
see, it just reminded me too much of Power Rangers.
The purple?
The purple.
I don't know because
Not just the purple, but just the whole head.
The suit looks totally like the Jaffa uniform
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
from Stargate, and it
Totally
goes like,
does.
"This would be really cool." Yeah, my only big beef is that I wish he was like 8-10 feet tall.
That's my problem.
That's
is his
otherwise.
size.
That's,
His size is. tiny.
That's otherwise. I'm sure that
He's a
you know,
little guy. Yeah. Well, the one set photo I saw of him, he's like almost on.
He's like the
exact
same height
as Olivia Munn.
Yeah, as Olivia
I
Munn.
was like, oh, okay.
and it's
he's a
of
little
course there's some
guy.
angle. It's probably a little bit farther
Oh, they're
back.
gonna use some apple boxes.
I hope,
Brian
yeah.
Singer loves releasing photos for the movies.
Because it's like,
Good for him.
he's the anti JJ because
Right.
JJ Abrams thinks that if he hides everything, people
want it more.
will somehow want it more, and in the end they were gonna go see it no matter what. And Brian Singer's like, look at all the cool stuff I did. Look at he did for Days of Future Past. Hey, look at my
Sentinel?
cool Sentinel.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
hide this? You're just gonna find out in a couple days when
It's gonna
somebody
be
leaks a
leaked
photo.
somehow. Anyways,
Speaking of leaked photos, did anyone see the helmets from Rogue One that
no,
were released?
no, and don't you show me. Don't you dare!
it
Don't
went
you
up
dare
online.
ruin more of Star Wars for me.
It went up online and it was immediately taken down.
Good.
But it got
I wanna
out.
see.
It was a stormtrooper helmet and two
Don't-
other
just stop
helmets
it.
that are
Stop
brand
ruining
new.
my life.
But they look cool. But
So
it was
he's George Lucas now.
Rit, when he posted that poster to us, you became George Lucas.
Oh, seriously, the post. Okay, for those now you're out of context with everybody. We had a thread on one of our text messages that
Oh god, that never-ending.
never-ending thread that was about
It's the thread
D23.
that never ends.
I put up the
the
post.
first
If I
time-
could jump through my phone and
Hey,
strangle
I'm trying to
you, I would
explain this
have.
to
First
the fans.
time I've ever put a text message on Do Not Disturb. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, my phone was blowing up at work. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
So in wrapping this up, the whole thing was
Those are two of the lighter reactions.
the whole thing was that I put a thread up that had the official Star Wars poster. Travis freaked out because I was ruining the movie for him
You
because
ruined the movie for me.
I still don't think that's the official
He's not going to go see it.
You don't
now
think it's the
because
official
of
I
you.
think it was the official
how dare you.
teaser poster.
He,
But I don't
he
think it's
ruined
the
the movie
official-
for me.
But
official release.
okay, we can all agree that putting that poster as pretty as it was
Totally spoiled a huge thing.
still spoiled a moment.
Spoiled it, and I'm sure more trailers will spoil much more about the movie. But I
Jar
am
Jar's in
choosing
it.
not to watch more trailers because I want to go see it like I saw the original ones.
Finn is going to get replaced on that poster by Jar Jar.
I'm surprised
Everyone's
somebody
doing
hasn't
it.
done
That's
that
what
yet.
Jar Jar-
Everybody's Jar Jar.
He's
on
a
the next
Jedi.
poster.
Okay, so
Boss Nass is in the bottom.
anybody else want to wrap up anything with our last 2-digit show? No?
Wow.
Have fun.
Yeah,
Enjoy your
like that?
comics.
This is the
Be
last
good to
episode of
yourselves and
Nerdle.
each other. That's all
We
I
are
got.
gonna-
Don't watch Arrow because he doesn't have a goatee.
He doesn't have a goatee. All right, so for that, I'm going to wrap up the show.
So anyway,
I haven't said it the whole show.
no, congratulations.
So, anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. So go see us at, or go view us,
Go
or
see us at?
yeah, go see us at Facebook.com/Nerdables, at Twitter. Oh shit!
Listen to us on Twitter. See us on Facebook. Read us
Perfect.
on
So
Audible.com.
after 99 episodes, we still cannot
can't
get this
close
right.
the episode. Maybe 100.
on Twitter
folks.
at Nerdables Show, and
Yeah.
go see us on our website at nerdables.com. So for Travis, Sebastian, Chris, Ethan, Shauna, I'm RA saying see you at 100.
Wait, we're gonna have fans at 100.
We don't have fans now.
Oh my